Good morning. I hope you can hear me. Slight problems with my technology knowledge. Good morning. Good to see you all. Here we are at the First Church Unitarian Littleton online Sunday service. My name is Martha Childs. I'm serving on the standing committee, my first year for the second time. I'm glad that you're joining us today and hope you're doing well and are able to breathe occasionally and enjoy the wonderful show that Mother Nature puts on at this time of year. Okay, so as always, Community Matters contains a lot of important and interesting information about ongoing and upcoming events, something for everyone. I want to call your attention to two very important community meetings coming up this week. The first is the budget review meeting on Tuesday, October 13th, and this is highly recommended as preparation for the warranted meeting on Sunday, where we will be acting on the budget for the rest of the fiscal year, as well as other items, which you will hear about now. Welcome all. Enjoy. Okay.
Hi, I'm Lori Grant, the clerk. First, the voting list is now available on our website. I'm notifying you, the members of First Church Unitarian, that you are lawfully entitled to vote to meet on a Zoom call. The link will be provided after church services on October 18th, 2020 at 11:30 a.m. or immediately following the Sunday service, whichever is later, to act on the following articles. First, to review and accept the minutes from the May 17th annual meeting. Second, to consider a change to Article 10 of the church bylaws, defining the terms of service for the deacons. Third, to consider an addition to Article 18 of the church bylaws to establish and define the terms and restrictions of a clergy fund. Fourth, to consider revisions to Article 20 of the church bylaws required pursuant to the sale of the former church parsonage. Fifth, to act upon the provisional budget from November 2020 through June 2021. Sixth, to allocate the fiscal year 2020 surplus of $36,434.96, $10,000 to the capital fund, $26,434.96 to the general fund. To authorize the treasurer to borrow money, Seventh, to authorize the treasurer to borrow money on behalf of the church. And eighth, to transact any other business which may lawfully come before said meeting. I look forward to seeing you all on the 18th. Have a good day and stay safe out there. Bye.
This morning's prelude is a song from the Ojibwe tradition known as the flute song. A lot of Native American flute is improvised, but this is a simple melody. In beauty I walk. With beauty before me I walk. With beauty behind me I walk. With beauty above me I walk. With beauty around me I walk. It has become beauty again. Today I will walk out. Today everything negative will leave me. I will be as I was before. I will have a cool breeze over my body. I will have a light body. I will be happy forever. Nothing will hinder me. I walk with beauty before me. I walk with beauty above me. I walk with beauty around me. My words will be beautiful. In beauty all day long may I walk. On the trail marked with pollen may I walk. In old age wandering on a trail of beauty, lively may I walk. In old age wandering on a trail of beauty, living again may I walk. It is finished in beauty. It is finished in beauty. Prayer from the Navajo Way Blessing Ceremony. Let us worship. This is the time in the service where if you have a chalice at home, you can light it, and you can also get ready to say the words of our covenant along with Fergus Abreu.
Love is the spirit of this church and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I got it, Fergus. I got it. All right. Good morning and welcome to the worship service of First Church Unitarian here in Littleton, Massachusetts. My name is Lara Hoke, and I'm so happy and lucky to be the minister of this awesome congregation. If you found us this morning online for the first time, welcome, or welcome back as the case may be. Hope you'll keep joining us on Sunday mornings at 10. And when the pandemic precautions are over, someday, if you live close enough, I hope you'll join us in person. But until then, so happy to see you here on YouTube live. So thank yous. First of all, thank you to Fergus Abreu for doing our chalice lighting and our covenant this morning. Thank you to Martha Child for doing our community matters, and to Chris Ursuline for putting it out every week. Thank you to Lori Grant for doing that warrant reading. Thank you to Molly Lozeau, as always, for the beautiful music. And this morning, thank you to some of the Artemis singers who will be singing our offertory. You'll see that and hear that later. And thank you to Mike Pillman for helping us with the videos and tech. Thank you to everyone who sent in pictures for our gathering video. And I was able to use lots of those this morning, and I have some to get me started for the next week. Keep them coming, because we'll be doing this for a while, I believe. We continue today with our October theme of deep listening, the Soul Matters theme, deep listening. And this morning, in honor of Indigenous Peoples Day, we have an Indigenous perspective on deep listening. And that is thanks to our very own Lorinda Morimoto. So I look forward to hearing that homily today. And with that, I think I will let Molly introduce our opening hymn, number 366.
Good morning. Our opening hymn comes from our regular hymnal, the original hymnal. It's number 366. I've also put a screenshot of the music on screen so you can read it that way. I hope that you join in and sing along. The notation at the bottom of the hymnal says that this was a traditional melody found from the Muscogee, I think that's how you say it, or Creek Nation. I did a little bit of research, and this nation is centered in nowadays in Oklahoma and northern Florida, and they still have their own language that they use. They still have several reservations and communities, and so they're alive and thriving. So please sing along. Thanks, Natalie.
Heleluyan, 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 heleluyan. Heleluyan, 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 heleluyan.
It's my pleasure to introduce this morning's Time for All Ages, the story that will be told by Debbie Eston, who is a great member of our amazing religious education committee. I can't tell you what a great job they're doing right now. And the story Debbie will tell is a story that is from a retelling of a Sioux legend, and the story is based on the UUA website's Tapestry of Faith curriculum. So enjoy.
Good morning. It's nice to virtually see you. This morning, I'm sharing the retelling of a legend from the Sioux tribe of Native Americans. This legend presents a way for everyone to be heard in a group conversation and practice deep listening. The story was given to the Native people many winters ago, when it was time for all of the young mothers in the village to go out and gather fruit and berries. The grandmothers, whose legs could no longer walk quickly, were left to care for the young children of the village. The young mothers honored the grandmothers by giving them this great responsibility. It is believed that young children have many dreams and visions to collect before they are grown. With the grandmothers close by, all the children took naps in the warmth of a darkened lodge before sun had traveled his full path each day. One of these days, while the young children slept, Crow and Magpie, two noisy winged ones, were having a terrible argument outside the lodge of the sleeping children. "Caw, caw," screamed Crow. "Caw, caw," yelled Magpie. They were both speaking at once, and they could not hear each other's point of view on the subject of which tree belonged to which bird. One of the grandmothers went to quiet the voices outside, so they would not wake the children. She tried to scare the birds away. When she could not get the attention of the screaming crow and the yelling magpie, she called Eagle for help. Eagle, the great winged one, was a sacred bird for both the native people and all the other animals of the earth. He was also full of much wisdom, and everyone looked to him for help with their problems. "Oh, Brother Eagle, can you chase off these two noisy ones so our children can dream?" asked the grandmother. With a mighty flap of his wings, Eagle sailed towards the noisy pair. He gave a call of warning to the crow and the magpie as he came close, but they were so busy fighting They did not even hear him. When Eagle saw this, he yelled louder and came closer, and that's when it happened. Caw! Caw! Crow screamed as he flapped his wings in the air so hard he nearly fell off his perch. Cack! Cack! Yelled Magpie as his wings too flapped up a storm. Suddenly, they both realized that they had flapped their wings so hard without looking at what they were doing, they hit one of Eagle's wings. What was worse was the sacred feathers from Eagle fell out and landed on a small branch, suspended above Mother Earth. It was a great offense to touch Eagle, much less cause one of his feathers to come off. Magpie spoke to Eagle. Oh, Brother Eagle, we did not hear you so near. I am truly sorry for the injury I have caused you. Now, Crow was surprised to hear such an honorable thing come from the mouth of his rude neighbor. He spoke to Eagle with dignity. I have many times been a naughty bird, but, Brother Eagle, I think this may be the worst that I have ever done. In many moons, I have not done anything this bad. I am very sorry you have lost a sacred feather. Crow and Magpie both went to retrieve Eagle's feather, and their eyes met. With no words at all, they both knew that this was a mistake, and it would not have happened if they hadn't been fighting. Magpie took the feather in his beak and spoke. I am ashamed, Brother Eagle, that my loud talk and harsh words were more important to me than solving our problem. Crow took the feather from Magpie and said, We have disturbed the two-legged children and torn from your wing a sacred feather, and now we return it to you with a request for your forgiveness. Eagle had watched all of this with his wise eyes and open heart. He knew the lesson of listening had been learned by his little brothers, and he saw that the grandmother looked on and took on the learning. So he said to Crow and Magpie, Give the feather and the branch it rests on to the grandmother. Grandmother, connect to my sacred feather. Grandmother, connect my sacred feather to the branch. Dress the branch with beads and leather and fur and make it even more beautiful. Keep it in your lodge and teach others to create this fine-looking stick. Eagle said, We will call this sacred item a talking stick. Tell all the people that when they come together at the gathering where ears might be shut, to bring out the talking stick and let only the holder speak. This will be done in an honorable manner, letting everyone have their say. Pass the stick until all have spoken. Then a vote can be taken, and the side who gathers the most votes will make the final decision, Eagle said. Grandmother gathered up the branch and the feather. She was very honored to have learned this lesson, and every grandmother from that day on has told this story and helped the young ones to make a talking stick. This story has inspired me to start making a talking stick, to use and to remind me that I'm not listening if I'm talking or thinking about what I'm going to say while someone else is talking. Here's what it looks like. It's just started, has some feathers, some beads, some yarn. It's a wonderful stick that was given to me by Emily that I'm embellishing. Thank you, Emily. So thank you. Thank you for listening to this story.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for telling today's story. Very much appreciate that. And interesting to hear that, the origins of the talking stick. This is an opportunity for generosity. There are times to receive and times to give. We are thinking a lot this month about receiving in the form of listening and listening to what others have to say. Today, I encourage you to continue thinking about that and think about times when it's also appropriate to give an input. So giving and receiving. And of course, the opportunity for generosity is a chance to give something, to give of time, talent, or treasure to this wonderful church community. I know you give your time and talent, so many of you. And if you are able, we would love for you to share some of your treasure this morning. You could either send a check in to us at First Church Unitarian, Attention Assistant Treasurer, and it is 19 Foster Street, Littleton, Massachusetts, 01460. Or you can go to the website, fculittle.org. And when you're there, you will see a yellow donate button. If you click on that, it will tell you and explain to you the different options and ins and outs if you choose to give online. So this morning's offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation.
I want to introduce the Offertory just briefly. We're very lucky that Carolyn McCreary had an idea to sing along with a couple members of the Artemis Singers. They're singing a piece that in English is called Water is Life, and in Lakota is Mini Wichoni. It's by Sara Thomsen, and she was inspired to write this after the Standing Rock protests that happened starting in 2016, and it seems like they're still ongoing. The conflict there was due to a pipeline being put in through North Dakota and South Dakota through the Sioux tribe territory. And I'm looking at, I think it's important to listen to the words and to listen to just the message of this song and how we can like absorb it and use it in many other places. Yeah, Natalie agrees. So please enjoy.
Every nation comes, all our relations under the sun. We are one. We are praying come. We are praying come. We are the song and we are the drum. We are one. We are the river come. We are the river come. We are the boats that paddle the shore. We are one. Living the Johnny sing. Living the Johnny sing. Living the Johnny water is high. are the water, we are where all life begins. We are the ancient ones. We are the ancient ones. In your birth and bones we sing on. We are one. We are the meadow come. We are the meadow come. We are the love that sings. The new day has begun. We are the new day. Run, run, run. We are the new day. Run, run, run. We are the old and we are the young. We are one. Wičoni sing. Wičoni sing. Wičoni, water is mine for everything. We are the water, sing. We are the water, sing. We are the water, we are where all life begins. We are the earth and sky. We are the thunder cry. We are the fire. We are the light in your eyes. We are standing strong, like a rock, like a stone, on the sacred ground we belong. We are one. All our relations come, every nation come. All our relations under the sun. We are one.
Bonjour, Indinwe Maganidok. My name is Lorinda Morimoto. I am a member of FCU and of the Racial Justice Action Committee. My opening words mean, welcome all my relations in Ojibwe. We consider all sentient and non-sentient beings to be our relations. As we approach Indigenous Peoples Day, I find this month's Soul Matters topic, deep listening, particularly relevant. Listening is a skill that we learn. How to listen varies from culture to culture. I do not believe listening involves just keeping our mouths shut. It also means keeping our minds quiet and really hearing the words being spoken by another person. We do this in order to develop a sense of what they are seeming to want to communicate. I believe this is a way to come closer to understanding one another. When someone is speaking to you, are you thinking of what you are going to say next? How come? What becomes more important? What the other person is saying, or what you are going to say in response, or as a reaction? How come? When there is silence, how do you feel? Do you get anxious? Do you wish someone would hurry up and say something, or do you say something just to keep the words going? Notice I said words, not communication. What I just described seems true. For you, it is sometimes for me. This is very much how white culture communicates. I do not mean to imply that this is a wrong way to communicate. I have been deeply influenced by white culture and white privileged education. While I am a white and Native American woman, I was never given the opportunity to be among people of my birth culture, and it wasn't until I had children of my own that I began to learn about my heritage. My intentions are to demonstrate the consequences, the potential losses that come from this white Eurocentric way of communicating, and how this way differs from many indigenous cultures. Native American people tend to be a quiet people, a very thoughtful people. However, white settler culture has certainly invaded even our native way of communicating, not to mention all native as well as non-native educational systems. In Native American culture, there is more emphasis and value placed on listening rather than speaking. For 4 summers, my husband Keo and I taught courses in cross-cultural counseling and group dynamics at the University of Alaska's Graduate School of Education in Fairbanks, Alaska. Our Indigenous students rarely talked just for the sake of talking. We acknowledged the differences in Native and non-Native communication and invited all of the students to participate in ways that were familiar and comfortable for them. We believed it was important for the non-Native students to understand these differences, since they would be out in the field, or the bush as we often called it, serving Native people, both adults and children. Often when a Native American person pauses when they are speaking, it is not because the person is finished with what they have to say. It is a way of emphasizing what has just been spoken. Communication among family and friends in Indigenous communities is very different, more informal, and often more animated, depending on the situation. However, communication is also still very respectful. Elders are listened to very respectfully, even when one does not agree with the elder speaker. This is where the famous talking circle comes in handy, because when it is your turn to speak, you can state your different opinion, and the one with whom you disagree, whether your peer or an elder, has to listen respectfully, with an open mind. This, we hope, is something that will bring an agreement, or possibly a third way. When speaking in a group, it is considered disrespectful by Native American people for one or a few people to dominate a conversation. Rather, it is seen as important to develop a sense of how each person in the group is understanding or feeling about a conversation. This way of listening and speaking is in my DNA, and I often struggle to hold on to it in the face of differing forces, even in my head. I was adopted by 2 white people in 1948 who were Swedish American, and my father was a very successful mechanical engineer. He had the expectation that I was to excel as a white woman, competing in sports and in school. I was to speak up and push forward, whatever that meant to him. The criticism, when there was any, from my teachers in grade school or high school was, quote, very respectful but does not speak up enough. As my husband Keo would often say to me, you Indians do not stand a chance of a fart in a windstorm. When I was in Alaska, among other Native Americans, I felt as if I had come home. A traditional potlatch we were invited to had this way of communicating as natural as breathing, and I felt so relaxed and included in the silence as well as in the talking. I wonder how our world would be were we to adopt this way of communicating and being, especially during very heated, tense times of serious conflict. There are some similarities to our FCU's Covenant of Right Relations. One thing that does happen when communicating in this more focused way, and which has probably become apparent to you, is how our Indigenous way of being really slows things down. I wonder if we are able to spend even a fraction of our time together endeavoring to practice this kind of mindfulness. Or are the forces of the busy, paced, rather frantic white culture too much of a barrier? May we all at least take some quiet time to listen, even just to ourselves. I wrote a note to myself one time to remind me of the importance of this quiet listening and going within. Perhaps when I stop distracting myself, I will discover myself. Oh.
Our closing hymn today is number 1069. This is in the teal hymnal, the newer hymnal. It is Ancient Mother. It's based on a traditional Navajo prayer, as it says in the book. But what I'm finding is that the words in the tune don't necessarily haven't necessarily been put together before the publication of this book. So again, I will put the music on the screen. Please follow along, sing as you are willing and able, hum, do anything that you'd like to do. Just listening is fine too.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
Thank you, Molly. And thank you again to Lorinda for sharing those really thoughtful words. You gave us a lot this morning, and it is so appreciated. So thank you again. This is a time for our closing words. And if we were together in person in our sanctuary, where I am here now, we would form something like a circle and hold hands for the words. And we can't do that at the moment. So again, I encourage you, if you are with somebody where you can safely hold hands now, please do. Otherwise, if you are alone in a room, as I am here, I encourage you to put your hands together and feel that warmth and imagine this loving circle, this loving community. And here are our closing thoughts and words. Friends, we have been, most of us, steeped in the way of the colonizers. We have valued speaking over listening. Being steeped in the way of the colonizers, we are often more interested in being heard than in hearing. May we learn to receive and reflect before we react. May we not be afraid of silence. Listen. Right now, listen. Listen. There's so much to receive and hear. We are one. All are our relations. May we walk together in beauty. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
Our postlude today
Yes.
is called Skunk Dance. Thank you, Natalie. But what I want to say about this is the Library of Congress has started recording. Natalie. Okay. The Library of Congress has started recording, like going out into the field and getting in touch with different Native American tribes and making recordings, like audio recordings and notation of some of these traditional songs that have never really been written down and potentially heard by other people. So this comes from one of their collections of animal dances, animal music. Um, and again, like it's the sort of thing where I'm playing what has been notated, but it's not necessarily what would be heard each time. There's a quite a bit of improvisation and drums and different instrumentation that would happen. So this is the best representation I can give of a skunk dance with the rhythms and with some of the harmonies that you would potentially experience.